right, so today's lesson is all about peace. This day I choose to spend in perfect peace. It does not seem to me that I can choose to have but peace today. And yet my God assures me that his Son is like himself. Let me this day have faith in him who says I am God's Son. And let the peace I choose be mine today, bear witness to the truth of what he says. God's Son can have no cares and must remain forever in the peace of heaven. In his name, I give today to finding what my Father wills for me, accepting it as mine, and giving it to all my Father's sons along with me. And so, my Father, would I pass this day with you. Your Son has not forgotten you. The peace you gave him still is in his mind, and it is there I choose to spend today. So I want to talk this morning about the idea of what it means to choose peace. And really, in a larger sense, what does it mean to choose my state of being in general? Maybe I want to choose joy or choose love. How do we do that? What does that mean? We know that we are the architects of our experience. Whatever we give attention to, we give life to, we give reality to. And so unknowingly, unconsciously, we're giving life and reality to all kinds of false perceptions throughout the day that the ego is interjecting. And we're simply not aware of that. And those things accumulate and begin to cover up the natural fragrance of our true nature that we just contacted in the meditation, which is that perfect, unshakable peace, certainty of being. So what it means to choose a state of being or to choose peace is to simply see what is not peace, become aware of what is not, what does not reflect peace. Because as I've said, in many other lessons, you truly can't see what you are because you're already looking from it. So you can only experience what you are in the absence of what you're not. So if you're looking for what you are, you must be looking from a false point of view. You've sort of, in a sense, stepped away from yourself and are looking to find yourself. So choosing peace is not about like, where's peace in my experience? Come on, give me some peace, universe. Because it's like, well, I'm waiting for you to give peace, right? I'm just here to reflect you. So if you imagine like two chairs on opposite ends of a room, one chair is ego's thought system, one chair is God's thought system, or ego nature, Christ nature. You can only sit in one chair at a time. So if I am sitting in the ego's chair and trying to look for the Christ chair, I'm sitting in the wrong seat, right? I'm looking from a false point of view. And this is what the Zen koan means. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, because seeking the Buddha is already a denial of your Buddhahood. It's sort of an attestment to the fact that I am not that. So I have to go look for it. And this happens just unconsciously, right? We don't realize that we're sort of making this statement when we look for our true nature like this. All I can actually do is get up from that chair and sit in the Christ nature chair and then see what I'm not. Look at the ego's world. If I'm looking at the ego's world, if I'm looking at the unreal, if I'm looking at illusions, I must be doing it from the right point of view. Yeah? Because only the true self, the Christ nature, can see the false. The false can't see itself. It always looks true from the position of the ego. We have to abandon that position altogether and remain fixated upon who we really are and look from that point of view, which means to see what I'm not. So self-inquiry is essentially this practice, right, of taking every thought captive that doesn't reflect peace or my true nature in any way. As often as I can become aware of a thought passing through the mind that reflects judgment or resistance or insecurity or lack, I just take it to self-inquiry right away. Oh, whose thought is that? Does that thought line up with my true nature? If there's fear, if there's anxiety present, just line it up against the truth. Say, does my eternal nature have a problem with this? Is my eternal nature afraid of this or suffering from this? And obviously, from eternity's perspective, there's nothing to fear. Fear doesn't even exist in the heavenly realm, right? So to look from heaven's eyes is to keep that right perspective and observe my mind from that perspective. Does that line up with my true nature? If it doesn't, I just let it go and forgive it. So we can question the thought in general. Is that true? Can I absolutely know that that's true? Or we can line it up against the Christ nature and say, does eternity have this problem? And the answer from that perspective is always very clear. So I love how it says, it does not seem to me that I can choose to have but peace today. What me is that line referring to? Ego's chair, right? From the ego's chair, it doesn't seem like I can choose to have peace. And yet my God assures me that his son is like himself. Let me this day have faith in him who says I am God's son. What does it mean to have faith in him? To sit in the Christ nature seat, to look from that perspective, to stay vigilant in your allegiance to your true nature. It doesn't matter what the mind says, how many fears it has, how many attack thoughts it throws up, how much guilt is there. None of that stuff matters to my Christ nature. I'm just going to observe it and see it for what it is and release it back to God. And so, my Father, would I pass this day with you? Your son has not forgotten you. The peace you gave him still is in his mind, and it is there I choose to spend today. So that's the good news, right? Peace is already here. It's already what we are. We don't have to find it. We don't have to look for it. We can just see what's not peace and choose to surrender that to Holy Spirit. That's how we choose our state of being. We take every thought captive and refuse to allow anything that doesn't reflect that chosen state of being into our mind, into our attention. So it's like the analogy of the thieves in an empty house, right? If you just, without attaching to any thoughts, without identifying, you just remain empty and observe, the thieves come into the house, they find nothing to steal. They find nothing of value there. So they might walk around, check all the rooms, check under the bed. Well, there's nothing here for us. And then they're going to eventually leave, right? This is the way the mind works. The less attention you give it, the more you just observe without identifying. The mind has nowhere to land, and eventually it will cut its losses and retreat back into stillness and wait for another opportunity, right? So we always want to let these thoughts that pass through, that don't reflect peace, that don't reflect love, let those thoughts be like thieves in an empty house. Nothing here for you, right? Nothing to identify with, nothing to attach to. Have your fun, look around all you want, but you're not going to find anything of value. So I'd like us to reflect a little while in this meditation. What thoughts have I been allowing into my consciousness? What thoughts, beliefs, stories have I been identifying with that don't reflect peace? And then we'll just see those thoughts and forgive them. So in closing our eyes, turning inwards, and just getting still again, just as we did before, we allow that self-luminous knowledge of I am to come to the forefront of our awareness. We sit in the seat of the Christ nature, and from here we observe the mind. From here we look at the illusions. And from here we experience the peace of our true nature. So take a moment now and ask the Holy Spirit to bring into your mind's eye, bring to your awareness, what thoughts have I been thinking this week, giving attention to, that don't reflect this peace? What problems am I giving attention to that don't exist from heaven's perspective? I been saturating my mind, my attention in all of the stress and turmoil of the world this week? Have I been rehearsing old stories and memories from the past? Have I been judging someone close to me? Have I been feeling fear? Fear of lack, fear of insecurity? Whatever it may be, hold that thought in your mind's eye. And now I want you to imagine or visualize your highest self appearing before you as a body glowing with white golden light, shining like the Christ in all of its glory. See this eternal self that you truly are. The self that is one with its source. The self that was and is to come. The self that dwells in eternity. And then just cross-compare this thought I've been thinking, this fear I've been dwelling on, and really ask yourself the question, does my eternal infinite self have this problem? Does it suffer from this story? Does it even recognize this story? If you feel the answer is no, my eternal self does not suffer this, or know this problem, or think this thought, then simply look at that thought and offer it perfect forgiveness. I must have been looking from a false point of view. I must have limited myself to a body, a finite object. And this thought came to me, believing I was a body, to help me, to protect me. It didn't know any better. It didn't know who I really am. And so there's no way to see this thought other than compassion. But now we say to this thought, thank you for your service. Thank you for the catalyst you brought me. But now I remember who I am as the eternal self. And your services are no longer required. I forgive you, and I release you back to God. And now I'll begin to see that bright, golden, shining self of the Christ nature making its way towards you and coming into your body and illuminating every cell. See the glow, see the aura coming out of your skin. Feel the light, feel the warmth. This is the self I truly am, the self that never left its home in God, the self that has perfect peace. God's Son can have no cares and must remain forever in the peace of heaven. In his name, I give today to finding what my Father wills for me, accepting it as mine, and giving it to all my Father's sons along with me. Feeling this gratitude for the Christ nature, feeling thanks for this shift in awareness. We seal it now with a deep inhale, breathing in that truth into the body, exhaling out the old. Opening your eyes when you're ready. Sila. Yeah, that's good, huh? Feels good. When it feels good, you know it's true. Kristen says, now I'm a puddle. It's a good puddle though, yeah? The peaceful puddle. Awesome.